Alright, so this is me running the latest version of macOS on my Windows PC.
Hello guys, in this video I'm going to show you how to install the latest version of macOS, currently macOS Tahoe on your Windows PC. Now I'm going to guide you through each and every step of this installation. Now the first thing we're going to do is check the CPU we are using, and to do that hold Ctrl Shift Escape to open Task Manager. From here you can click on Performance and then click on your CPU here. Right here you can see my CPU name. In this case, I am using Intel Core i7-4790. This is a 4th gen processor because the number is starting from 4, and 4th gen processors are called Haswell. You can check on your screen to find out what processor you're using and the code name as well. Now, if you're unable to find the code name of your processor, you can simply head to your browser. Just copy the name of your processor, in my case, Core i7-4790. Head to your browser and then head to labs.etechbox.com. The link will be provided in the video description alongside every single link mentioned in this video. Now we'll click on check CPU and then we're going to type in our processor name here. In my case, it is Core i7-4790. So you can see right here, Core i7-4790. Now if you click on go to specs, you can see that the architecture of my processor, the code name, is Haswell. So we're going to download EFI configuration file for Haswell, since the code name for my processor is Haswell. So make sure to take note of the code name of your processor so we can continue the installation. Now those using AMD shouldn't be worried about the code name because all those using AMD are going to download the same EFI configuration file. Now here are the list of things we are going to download for this installation. First, we need Balena Etcher, which we're going to use to create a bootable macOS. We need GenSMBIOS, which we're going to use to generate a unique serial for this installation. Next, we need Propertree. We also need Explorer++. We need Minitool Partition Wizard. We need macOS Tahoe Installer File. We need Opencore Configurator, and we also need a 32 gig flash drive. Now I'm going to provide the links to each and every one of the files we mentioned in the video description, so you can just click on the link and download the file. First, we are going to download GenSMBIOS. So you can simply just search on Google and you should see the link to GitHub GenSMBIOS. Click on code and then download zip. Next, we are also going to download Propertree. You can also search for it as well. Propertree. Click on the link to GitHub as well. Code and download zip. Next, we are going to download Explorer++. So search for Explorer++. Click on the link as well, and you can see this is broken and it is currently not working. Now I'm going to provide an alternative link in the video description as well, so you can see this page that heads to GitHub for Explorer++, which should be their official repository, I guess. We are going to download from here, so click on the release right here. You can see down under releases. From here we can download Explorer++ x64. Next, we are going to download Minitool Partition Wizard. So search for Minitool Partition Wizard and click on the link to partitionwizard.com, and then click on download Partition Wizard up here and select the free edition. Next, we are going to download macOS Tahoe installation file. Now the link to this file is in the video description, so you can just click on it and head directly to this page. Now we can click on download and this should download. From here you can see the size 18.63 gig. This is quite a lot, so make sure you're using a stable internet connection, and this is going to take some time to download due to the file size. I already have this file downloaded, so I'm just going to cancel this, but make sure to allow the file download. Next, we also have to download Opencore Configurator, link in description as well. So we're going to search for Opencore Configurator Etechbox and then click on the link to download Opencore Configurator and download. Now we also have to download Balena Etcher, so let's search for Balena Etcher and then click on the first link to balena.io and then click on download Etcher. From here we can select Etcher for Windows since we're using a Windows PC and download. Like I said earlier, the links to each and every one of the files mentioned in this video is in the video description. Now these are all the files we need for now. Now we can close our browser and then open our download folder. Okay, so first we have Balena HR right here. We have macOS Tahoe Installer File. We have Opencore Configurator. We have Minitool Partition Wizard. We have Explorer++. We have Propertree. We have GenSMBIOS. And lastly, we have our EFI configuration file. Now, we didn't include this EFI configuration file in the download section. Now, the EFI configuration file can be acquired in 3 different ways. We're going to go through each of them so you can choose whichever works for you. First, you can download a pre-built Opencore configuration file based on your processor codename. In my case, I am using desktop as well, so this should be the right file to download. If you're using a laptop, then check this section for Opencore Laptop EFI. While if you're using a desktop, this is the section you should go to. You can use a pre-built EFI from here. Secondly, you can also go to efi.etechbox.com and specify your CPU code name here. Specify if you have integrated graphics or not. Username, enter an email and a password. And from here, you can access EFI based on your description you set here. Lastly, you can also get a custom-made EFI from us. Simply click on Custom EFI on etechbox.com. Enter your name, email, your PC specs right here, from your CPU to your GPU to the macOS version you want to get installed, your Wi-Fi card, and any other message you want to share here. This way, we are going to build a custom EFI based on your hardware, but you can go with whichever you want. Take note that the pre-built EFI might have some things disabled like Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, or Ethernet, because the Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and Ethernet cards on different systems are different, regardless of it being Haswell or any other processor here. So you can use the pre-built EFI from here. You can also request for a custom EFI from us, or use the EFI management system right here, or you could build the EFI from scratch yourself. I made a video on how to build EFI from scratch. I'm also going to link it in the video description. I already have a custom EFI I built from scratch, which I am going to use for this installation. So we can just close our browser from here, and this is our EFI configuration file, which contains all the files needed. Now, the first thing we are going to do is to generate a unique serial for our EFI, so we can run macOS using a unique serial. That way we can sign into Apple and access all Apple services. So let's extract GenSMBIOS. And then open the extracted folder right here. Open, and you're going to see GenSMBIOS Windows batch file. Now let's double click on this to open. More info and run anyway. Now this needs Python to run, so just enter Y for yes and hit enter. Now we're going to first install and update Mac serial, so enter 1 and hit enter. Hit enter to go back. Now we're going to select our configuration file by entering 2 and hit enter. Okay, now if we go back to our main download folder and then open our EFI file, which could be the pre-built EFI or the one you made yourself or a custom EFI from us, go to OC and you're going to see config.plist. Now drag the config file and drop it inside GenSMBIOS and then hit enter. Now enter 3 to generate SMBIOS and hit enter. Now we're going to generate SMBIOS for Mac Pro 7.1. Take note, if you use the wrong serial, you won't be able to run this installation. So make sure to use the right serial that matches with your machine. If you're using a desktop with a supported graphics card, then Mac Pro 7.1 would work for both AMD and Intel PCs. But if you're using a laptop, then you should be more concerned about the SMBIOS you use, which I am going to leave a guide to what to use in the video description. If you're using a custom EFI, then you shouldn't worry about this, as we always generate a fresh serial for every installation. Now we're going to hit enter, and you can see the serial number, board ID, system UUID, and Apple ROM. These are all unique details which we are going to use on this machine. Now we hit enter and it's going to go back to the previous page, and then we can enter Q to quit. Now if we go back to our download folder and extract Propertree. Now if you open Propertree, open, and run the Propertree Windows batch file right here. Run anyway. On this Propertree right here, we can click on File, Open, and then locate our EFI folder, which is in Download, EFI, OC, and then this is our config file. Click on Open. You can see all the configurations for our EFI right here. Now if you close down all of this and go to Platform Info, you can see down here that the serial number which we generated from GenSMBIOS is now here, the system UUID is here, and the product name is Mac Pro 7.1. This is what our macOS is going to be represented as. This is the serial number. Now we can close this, we don't need to do anything here. So let's delete GenSMBIOS and Propertree since we no longer need any of them. Next, we are going to install Balena Etcher, which is what we're going to use to create a bootable drive for the installation. So double click on Balena Etcher to run. So first, we are going to click on Flash from File, locate your download folder and change from OS images to all. From here, we can select our macOS Tahoe Installer File. Now click on Select Target. Connect your flash drive which you want to use for the installation. In my case, I'm going to connect a 32 gig flash drive. Now select the flash drive here and click on Select, and then click on Flash, and it should start writing data to the flash drive. Now this is going to take about 20 minutes or more. It all depends on the read and write speed of your drive. Now after successfully flashing macOS Tahoe, we can close Balena Etcher and open our download folder. Now let's install Minitool Partition Wizard here. Continue installing the free edition. Next, and install. After installing, we can click on Finish to launch. Okay, so you can see right here disk 1, which is my main drive, and disk 2, which is my flash drive, removable drive. You can see the icon right here. Now under disk 2, we can see Other, which contains macOS Tahoe Installer File, and we can see our EFI FAT32. Now we want to add a letter to the EFI so we can easily identify it. So right click on it and then click on Change Letter. Now we can assign whatever letter we want to it. I'm going to call it X and then click on OK. Next, we have an unallocated partition as well. So let's right click on the unallocated partition and create a new partition. Yes. And this partition, we are going to call it OCC. And then click on OK. Now we allocated 10 gig to this new partition OCC, and we added a label to our EFI partition right here. Now we click on Apply. Yes. And OK. Now we can close this. Head back to our download folder. We can delete Minitool Partition Wizard. Now copy Opencore Configurator. Go to this PC and you can see the partition which we created, OCC. Let's paste Opencore Configurator there. We need it after the installation. Go back to your download folder. We can delete Balena Etcher since we are done with it. You can also delete Opencore Configurator. Now open Explorer++. Let's extract. Now inside Explorer++, you can see the application. Right click and run as administrator. Make sure to run as administrator, else you won't have access. Yes. Now you can see our EFI drive with label X, which we set earlier. Let's open it. And now delete everything inside this drive. So we're going to right click and delete. And then head to your download folder. Copy your EFI, which we modified the SMBIOS earlier. Copy. Head to EFI X and then paste it there. Alright, now we can close this window. Close all of this. Now we have to confirm the location we want to install macOS before we begin the installation. So head to your search bar and search for disk management. Now click on Create and Format Hard Disk Partitions. From here you can see the drives on my PC. In this case, I have just two drives. Drive disk 1 is my main drive and disk 2 is our removable flash drive. Now disk 1 is where we want to install macOS since we have just one drive. Now there are two options. You can install macOS and replace Windows entirely, or you can install macOS alongside Windows. Now let's say I want to install macOS alongside Windows. I'm just going to right click on the partition. You can see 222 gig, that's my main partition, and then shrink volume. And I'm going to shrink about 90,000 megabytes, which is around 87.8 gig. And you can see 87.89 gig right here, unallocated. Now you can right click on this unallocated partition, new simple volume, and then name it to something else. Let's call it macOS, so we can easily identify it. Now this way we plan to install macOS in this new partition we created called macOS, and Windows would remain on the C drive. But if you plan to install just macOS and get rid of Windows, then you can just wipe the drive before installing. You're going to see that when we start the installation. But right now this setup is set to accommodate both Windows and macOS. Now let's close this, restart, and begin the installation. Hold delete or F12 to boot into your BIOS. It may be different depending on the PC you're using. Now go to advanced mode and then go to boot settings, disable fast boot, scroll down, also disable secure boot. So go to secure boot and then set the OS type to other OS. Under key management, clear all secure boot keys. I've already cleared it, so you can't see that option right here. After disabling secure boot, also enable 4G decoding. Among your boot options, you should see 4G decoding. Make sure it is enabled, and then make sure you disable CSM as well, and then we can begin the installation. From here we can save changes and reset. Save changes and reset. Now I'm going to open my boot options by holding F8, and from here we can find UEFI FAT, which we are going to select. First we are going to reset NVRAM, so go to reset NVRAM and hit enter, and then go back to your boot options again. Now we're going to select Opencore and then hit enter. Here we can select install macOS Tahoe, hit enter. Now this is going to take about a minute or two, so you just have to wait. Now select the language for the installation and continue. First, we're going to go to disk utility, continue. Now we have two options. We can either erase the macOS partition we created earlier and install macOS. This way we have Windows here and we have macOS here, or we can just delete everything and install just macOS. Now click on view and then show all device. So if you want to get rid of Windows and install macOS on the drive, then you can select the drive from here and erase. But if you want to install macOS on this macOS partition, then we can click on erase up here for the partition, and then we can set a name to whatever we want, set the format to APFS and erase. This way we will have both Windows and macOS. And then you can click on done. Now let's close this page. Now click on install macOS Tahoe and then continue. Continue. Agree to the terms. Select macOS, which is the partition we just erased, and then continue. and it should begin the installation. Now this is going to take about an hour or less, but you just have to wait. It may restart severally while installing, but just wait on the installation.
Hey guys, if any of our video has been beneficial to you, you can support us by buying a merch from etechbox.store. Use the promo code CALIFY for 5% off. Now back to the video.
And the installation is complete. Now let's set up. Set the language and continue. Set your country and region, and then you can set everything else based on your personal preference. Now you can set up a name which you want to use to access your machine. Set up your username and password. Continue. Now agree to the terms. Now you can choose between the light, dark mode or auto, whichever you prefer. I'm just going to go with the light mode and then continue. And that's all basically. We are now done with the installation. Now click on get started. Now we have to copy the EFI from our flash drive to our main drive. But before we do that, let's go to about this Mac. And you can see both our CPU and our GPU is recording correctly. This is macOS Tahoe 26. So basically this is how to install the latest version of macOS, currently macOS Tahoe, on your Windows PC. Now to move the EFI from our flash drive to our main drive, we have to first open the OCC partition we created earlier, which is right here, and then drag OCC to the desktop. Close this. Now let's open OCC. It contains Opencore Configurator. Let's drag it to our desktop. Now let's run Opencore Configurator, and then at the top right you should see the icon. Click on it, and then we can see EFI on our flash drive and EFI on our main drive. So let's mount partition. Enter your password. Let's also mount the second EFI, which is the EFI on our main drive. So let's open partition for EFI on our flash drive and open partition for EFI on our main drive. So we have to copy the EFI from our flash drive to our main drive. Now if your intention was to install macOS and totally get rid of Windows, then you can just delete the EFI in the main drive and move the EFI from our flash drive to the main drive. But if you want to run both Windows and macOS, then open the EFI in your main drive and then open the EFI in your flash drive. Copy boot and OC from your flash drive and then paste it in your main drive. But if you are trying to totally get rid of Windows, replace. But if you want to totally get rid of Windows, then you don't need to go through this process. All you need to do is delete the EFI on your main drive and then copy the EFI from your flash drive there. So whichever you prefer works. Now that's all basically. From here we can close this, eject our flash drive. We can now restart our PC without the flash drive. and you can see we can now boot into macOS. So basically, this is how to install the latest version of macOS, currently macOS Tahoe, on your Windows PC. If this video was helpful, kindly hit the subscribe button and turn on your post notification. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.